Good afternoon. This is Anthony Lamble. Today I'm going to speak on the topic of adopting pets rather than shopping for pets. All right, there's a couple key points I'm going to hit on, which are the humanitarianism of adopting a pet rather than buying one from a breeder, the value you get when purchasing a pet over the expenses you have to pay when purchasing from a breeder, and the quality of a pet in contrast to purchasing from a breeder as well. All right, so let's begin. Humanitarianism means generally to act for the better of society, to provide safety and security for those in need. So, if you didn't know, animals die in shelters every day. All right, it's a really big issue we have globally. When there's not enough room in the shelters, they generally begin to euthanize pets to make room for others on the streets if they stay there too long and they can't get adopted. So when you're rescuing or adopting a pet from a shelter or a pound, that's one dog that you just saved their life from being euthanized or being put back out on the street, which does occasionally happen. Also, when purchasing from a rescue, this takes away from business that breeders have. All right, so puppy mills are a big issue, which is generally backyard breeders, people who breed on their own and sell under the table. They generally have really bad conditions. The animals aren't fed well or treated well, and the only reason the owners are doing it is to turn a profit. So when you purchase an animal from a rescue, this helps eradicate that. If their profits are getting lower, maybe they'll stop conducting that breeding the way they are. It takes more animals off the street, all right? So when you take an animal from a rescue, when you adopt that animal, it opens up another room, another bed, another meal for a new animal that's on the street today. So all of my animals are rescues. Every time you take one home, that's another animal that you put in that bed. So another animal that doesn't have to deal with the winters like we're having right now. Leading into value, all right, the value you get from a rescue pet is extraordinary. All right, they're significantly less expensive than from a breeder. Purebred animals generally range from $500 to $2,500, whereas a rescue pet generally the prices to rescue an animal are $75 to $150. So there's a really large difference in the money you're paying out of pocket for the animal. They're already spayed and neutered, so that's another cost you don't have to worry about. That can generally cost from $150 to $200, from $50 to $200. So all that money's in your pocket. It doesn't have to shell out. You don't have to worry about your animal getting another animal pregnant or creating any more puppies that you have to try to get rid of or actually would end up in the pound again themselves. So that's a really good thing to have as soon as you're getting an animal. Also, they're up to date on their vaccines. So vaccines generally cost at a vet, depending on how many times you go, $150 to $200. All right, so a general vet visit is approximately $75 just to walk in the door. So adding all those shots on top of it, there's generally 3 rounds plus rabies. The cost can get up there. So when you're getting this animal from a shelter, that's already done for. You don't have to worry about spending the money on that either. So overall, the value of that pet, not having to get it spayed or neutered, not having to pay for those vaccines, not having to pay outrageous prices for your purebred animal is amazing. Why wouldn't you want to save all that money for a dog that's an equivalent or even better than the one you would get from the breeder next door? Talking about breeder pets, the quality of a pet from a shelter is just as adequate as a purebred animal, all right? Mixed breeds actually have less health issues than purebred animals do. Purebreds, which are often, sibling bred. So two pets in the same litter may have to have babies together. It creates heart defects, joint defects, hip dysplasia, stuff like that. So these are really costly operations that happen in the long run. So having a mixed breed animal can actually really decrease the chances of having any health risks. All right, they have the same love and companion as a purebred animal. A pet is a pet, all right? It's going to love you just as much as if you got it from the pound or if you got it from the breeder. So keep that in mind. You're going to get the same affection that you would get if you bought a really expensive dog, all right? Occasionally, actually, you do find purebreds in shelters. I found a Neapolitan Mastiff, which is approximately a $1,500 dog, really big dog, in the Little Rock Animal Shelter, the Little Rock Animal Village, actually. I believe this was 2 or 3 months ago. I almost adopted him, but my wife wouldn't let me. But he was adoptable for $150. That's a really big savings. That's approximately $1,300 to $1,400 savings if I were to purchase that dog. And it would have been just as great as if I would have got one from a breeder. So you got to keep your eyes out when looking to add an additional member to your family. So there's many reasons why to adopt rather than shop. So humanitarianism, saving a life, putting another animal in the shelter so he doesn't have to endure the harsh conditions, have a meal to eat. The value you get is significantly better than that of paying all that money and having to pay for health and neutering from a purebred, from a breeder. The quality of the pet is just as good, if not better. They're going to have less health issues. They're going to be just as sweet to you. They're going to love you just as much. So why not adopt rather than shop? Thank you so much for listening to my speech, and you have a great evening.